All right, welcome back to another episode of Post Grad with Asha, NCE edition. I am going to make a quick aside video for those of you watching before we get into the next two founding fathers. This is very important because I noticed that one of my previous videos, it was clear that I did not properly describe reinforcement and punishment and positive and negative reinforcement and punishment. And I think it was when we were talking about maybe operating in classical conditioning. It was like a question in one of my sample videos, old video. So I just wanted to make sure that I went back and cleared that up for any of you guys who were a little bit confused. So my goal for today's video is to keep it under 7 minutes, just because it's just one small thing that I want to make sure that I go over for you guys. So as a reminder, my name is Asha Creary. I am a licensed professional counselor, approved supervisor in the state of Texas and in Missouri. And then I do also have a private practice located in Central Texas that goes by the name of Crave Counseling. So let's get into this quick video. So for this video, again, there's going to be a couple of things that I'm going to describe that I want you guys to keep in mind as far as how to remember the information that you see here to kind of help you better understand the difference between these things. All right. So when you're looking at this diagram that you see on the screen, one thing that I want you to keep in mind is that when you think about positive and negative, think mathematics. That is the easiest way to remember when it comes to positive and negative punishment, positive and negative reinforcement. Okay. Positive means to add something, not how something feels, if it's a positive or a negative. Think, am I adding something to this situation? Yes. If so, it is a positive, regardless of the outcome. Am I removing something from this situation, regardless if it's a positive or a negative emotion or feeling that I receive or outcome that I receive? It is still removing something from a situation or a scenario, okay? If you're adding, it's positive. If you're removing or subtracting or avoiding, it is negative. Keep those things in mind. Now, reinforcement. So if you notice, I went from the top of the diagram, now we're going to go to the side of the diagram, and then we're going to bring it all together. For reinforcement is meant to increase a behavior. Punishment is meant to reduce or decrease a behavior, okay? Reinforcement increases a behavior. We're going to reinforce this thing that is happening in front of us to ensure that it continues, or so that we can increase the continuation of it. Punishment is that we're going to decrease the behavior, or we're going to find a way to remove or reduce a behavior that we see is happening, okay? Or a thing that we see is happening. Now, let's tie them all together. So keep in mind, positive means to add, negative means to subtract. Doesn't matter, okay? Reinforcement means to increase behaviors or outcomes. Punishment means to reduce or remove outcomes. Okay, let's go into reinforcement. Bringing it together. Positive reinforcement is to add something, or something is added to an environment so that the behavior can increase. Now, this particular diagram is probably just more so connected to behaviors, but that's okay. Adding something to the environment to increase a behavior is called positive reinforcement. I'm adding something to increase a behavior or an outcome, okay? Negative means to remove something to increase a behavior, okay? Something aversive is removed from the environment or avoided, the behavior is more likely to increase. So let me give you an example of both of those. All right, so positive reinforcement is a technique used to encourage a desired outcome or behavior by providing a reward or positive outcome when a behavior occurs. For example, if A teacher wants to encourage students to complete their homework on time, which is a behavior. They might use positive reinforcement by praising the students who submit their assignments promptly or giving them small rewards like stickers or recess time. This helps reinforce the behavior of turning in the homework by adding a desirable thing to the equation. Negative reinforcement involves removing an unpleasant stimulus to encourage a desired behavior. An example of that would be if a manager implements a policy where employees who consistently meet their goals no longer have to attend mandatory weekly status meetings. The removal of this unpleasant requirement, the weekly meetings, serves as negative reinforcement. The employees are motivated to meet their performance goals to avoid having to attend those meetings, okay? So in the first example, we're going to give you stickers to help increase your behavior of homework completion, or the thing called homework completion. When it comes to reinforcement, we're going to reinforce those students who are completing their homework by giving them something. Token economy, sorry. Negative in the example of that one is that we're going to remove these mandatory meetings, which is something aversive, to help promote an increase in healthy behaviors for those who complete their performance goals, okay? So we're going to remove an aversive stimuli, okay? So remember, positive is add, negative remove, reinforcement is to promote a behavior. Punishment, let's get into it. So for this particular diagram, again, we're going to add something aversive to reduce the behavior, okay? We're going to add something to the environment to reduce the behavior. So if you think about some childhood outcomes, depending on how parents discipline, right? We may add spankings to reduce a behavior. I'm not saying that's okay. I'm not saying it's not okay. Whatever you do in your household is what you do. So don't attack me in the comments. All right. So we're going to add spankings to reduce the behavior, which is a punishment. Okay. Now, when you think about negative, we're going to remove something that someone enjoys thoroughly to decrease a behavior that is occurring. So this may be a situation where a parent may remove their PlayStation or their cell phone to decrease skipping behaviors, okay? So I'm going to use like longer examples just for the sake of the information. All right, so positive punishment involves adding an unpleasant consequence to reduce the likelihood of a behavior reoccurring. An example, if a student talks during a test, the teacher assigns, we're adding an aversive stimuli, extra homework. As a consequence, the addition of homework is a form of positive punishment. The goal is to decrease the students talking during tests by introducing a desirable outcome. We're going to add an unpleasant thing to the environment. So for that particular example, if you continue talking during the test, we're going to add extra homework as a form of punishment for you, and that is implemented to reduce students' talking habits in the classroom. All right, negative punishment involves removing a pleasant stimuli or a desirable stimuli to decrease the likelihood of a behavior occurring again. For example, if a teenager breaks curfew and as a result, their parents take away their gaming console for a week, the removal of the gaming console is considered a negative punishment. The aim is to reduce the likelihood of the teen breaking curfew in the future by taking away something they enjoy. Okay, so that is pretty much the end of this video. I did not want to go past 7 minutes. Hopefully I have not. But I also wanted to make sure that I cleared that up for anyone who may be still confused about positive and negative punishment specifically. But I also made sure to include positive and negative reinforcement because both things can show up on the NCE. Now, I did not create sample questions for this specifically, mostly because I just needed to keep it at 7 minutes or less. So like, subscribe, leave comments, and I hope this video is helpful. And stay tuned. I forget which founding father that we're going to get into in the next video, but I wanted to make sure that I cleared this up before we got into talking about the founding fathers that touch on classical and operant conditioning, because again, this is going to show up. All right. That's it. We'll see you in the next video.